morning, Dr. Wish.
Good morning. What can I help you with today?
So I have a few questions.
Sure.
I am trying to have children, except I have a horrible skin condition across my whole body that I was told will 100% be passed down to my children if I decide to have kids.
Got it.
And throughout my childhood, I went through horrible bullying, severe mental health issues, anxiety, depression, due to my skin condition because I would get teased and taunted about how I looked. So I was just wondering if there's any way that I can ensure that my child doesn't go through the same pain that I had to go through when I was growing up.
Yeah, there actually is a genetic modification procedure called CRISPR. I could have my colleague explain it to you if you would like.
Perfect, thank you.
So when you do CRISPR delivery done through a gene that is doing something it's not supposed to do, right? So a dominant mutation. So you have two alleles. You have one over here, normal, which is great. You can survive with that allele, but you have one that's a mutation that's somehow taking over and causing a problem. Basically, you're either trying to insert DNA into a locus, which is actually very low probability of it working, or you can delete things, which actually happens at a relatively high frequency. You could actually target that mutant by doing a deletion there, and that could actually happen with relatively high frequency versus if you wanted to take that and change it to another one to make it normal again.
Think of it like editing an essay on your computer. You can tell your word processor what spelling mistake to find. The word processor finds it, and you can eliminate the word or replace it with the correct spelling.
Imagine you were the mother, and it was your job to decide whether or not to use the technology. What would you do? We interviewed 2 students to gain their insight and perspectives on the matter.
I think if I were in this situation, I would probably say that I would have the child not have the skin condition. I think it's hard to wrap my head around the fact that I would even have that kind of control, but I feel like knowing how I grew up and like things that my parents passed down to me, like my brother and I both had bad acne when we were younger. If there was an option for them to get rid of that, I know that they would have done that immediately. So I think any way that we can benefit like our future child's life is an important thing, and so I think I would get rid of the skin condition if I had the opportunity.
I've grown up with psoriasis and it hasn't impacted me at all. There's cures for it that have been tested and proven to work and have little harm to the patient. And I think that putting a mother and a baby in danger just to get rid of a little skin defect is unethical.
So I'm kind of going back and forth about that. I feel like in this situation in which it's a skin condition that probably didn't feel too great and like physically and also didn't feel great mentally when she got bullied for it. I feel like in that situation it is very ethical because you're thinking about the well-being of your child and like as they grow up how they're going to be treated.
I don't think it's ethical because I think that you're putting the mother and the baby at risk, because in any surgery there's risk always, and so you're putting both of them at risk, 2 people's lives, when the child would just be born with a skin condition, like whether it be psoriasis or something else that has a possibility of being cured and treated. There's no ethical reason to cause greater risk to patients.
So after a lot of thinking, I'm very highly considering going through with the procedure. However, I have heard that it comes along with a very large price tag, and I was just beginning to get worried about the implications it would have on my body and my child's body, and if there are any severe risks that could happen. So if you could just elaborate on that.
Yeah, of course. So yes, it is a very pricey procedure. It can cost upwards of $1 million, which is obviously a big factor to take into consideration. But something amazing about the CRISPR technology is if you go through with the gene modification, no one in your family lineage in the future will have that condition. So that's really an amazing thing considering the mental health struggles you went through growing up. And it's also important to consider that any surgery or procedure has some form of risk. But it's also amazing because the first CRISPR baby was born very recently and that was successful. So going through with your version of the procedure would be an amazing thing for your family too. But yeah, there are many factors you need to think about when going through this procedure, and let me know if you have any more questions.
I will, thank you.
There are some things to consider. If we genetically modify humans enough, will there be a new class of citizens in our society, or even an attempt to create the perfect race again?
Building off of that, the costs of these treatments highlight the discrepancies between socioeconomic groups and their ability to access this technology. Without this technology, insecurities can perpetuate indefinitely. Is this moral? On the other hand, if we have solutions to body image issues, should we act on it? Mental health issues are just as relevant as genetic diseases.